Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I am here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So, last weekend we went to the Oddities and Curiosities Expo.
That place was so cool.
It was really cool. We had a good time. We saw so many crazy things.
I have never in my life seen so many dolls in one place.
I know.
Anything you could do with a doll.
Yeah.
They did it.
I know. People were carrying around dolls and
They had dolls with wolf faces.
yeah, it was weird.
And they had like art made out of dolls.
Right.
Lamps made out of dolls.
Yeah, it was a lot of dolls.
Did they make like flower pots or something out of dolls?
Oh, I don't
Or was
know.
that a skull head?
I don't know. I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know. But
There was a lot of stuff that we missed because it was packed.
Oh, it was so busy. You couldn't even get to some of the booths.
Some of the booths we couldn't even go up to the table and see whatever they were.
There were so many people there.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect it to be that busy.
I didn't either. The place that we were in, I think it was just maybe the time. Well, because when we first got there, that guy said that there was a long line to get in.
Yeah.
And there wasn't when we walked in, but I guess everyone from that line had already gotten in because it was packed. But it was a really big open space there was plenty of room for everybody, but these tables and the booths that were available to look at, it was just like everyone was packed in there like sardines, and you couldn't actually get up to the table to see what they were looking at.
Yeah.
But who knows what we missed?
A whole bunch, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was really fun. We posted pictures on the Facebook page, and I will try and remember to post pictures on Twitter or whatever the other one is. Instagram? I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think it's Lori. I've been slacking so bad, so sorry about that. If you want to manage our pages, send me an email.
That would be awesome.
podcast@gmail.com. Yeah, that would be awesome because I really don't know what's going on. I could send you pictures or whatever. Anyway, let me know. But yeah, we went. We saw some things, and I think we're probably going to go again next year.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to.
So yeah, thanks Scott for the suggestion. We really appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yeah, and we need to find other things like that. So
I know. I wonder if there's some place that will send you notifications of.
Yeah, like a mailing list. We need to sign up for that. I don't know. I'll look into it.
Yeah,
see if we can find something like that because that would be great.
Yeah, and it was $10 to get in.
Yeah,
that's
cheap.
Like nothing.
Yeah, it was fun. Fun times.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me the most was the girl carrying around the dead coyote.
That was
or a fox or whatever it was.
I did not like that.
I didn't like it. It made me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, me too.
It was literally just a dead animal.
Yeah,
she was just carrying around a dead animal.
Yeah, and it's like it wasn't. The taxidermy. It's like stuffed full.
Yeah,
this was like
there
was nothing in there.
No, it was like floppy.
Oh, it was. Yeah,
it was weird.
I did not like it.
No,
and I also did not like the one which we didn't actually see anything because we didn't want to see it. It was the 8-legged cat.
Yeah,
and the two-headed cat. You could pay $5 to go in and see it.
Yeah,
I don't want to see.
No, I don't. And who knows? It was probably in a cage,
probably,
and because it was just they draped a sheet over this thing, and they were like, "Hey, pay us money, and we'll." And yeah, that
if I would have saw even the slightest hint that they were miserable, I would just I don't.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. Yeah, but the dead. What was it? A coyote?
Something like that.
It was fucking weird, and it made me extremely uncomfortable. That was the only thing that I was like, oh my god, are you fucking serious?
I think Amy was talking about talking about it or something. I had no idea what she was talking about. And then
Yeah.
I looked over and I saw it and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I totally went around. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I walked around and I was out of there.
Well, I was staring at it, trying to figure out, because it looked like a puppet to me at the beginning when I first saw it, and I heard Chris say like, "That's sad," and I was like, "What's she talking about?" And I look over, and it looked like it was because, like I said, it was floppy. It was like, and I thought it was like a puppet, and then you had like booked it out of there, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, so I was kind of staring at it, and it was very disturbing, but
oh yeah, you could tell it was once a living thing.
absolutely, it was a fucking dead animal.
Yeah.
And she was just carrying it around. It was weird. Super weird.
And she looked so proud of herself.
I know.
too.
She was like, she thought she was the shit.
Yes, she
And I
did.
was like, dude, ew. Like, there's something wrong with
Yeah,
this picture.
no.
Big time. But yeah, that was the only thing that got me, that was like, ew. And because they had a lot of animals in jars.
Yeah.
In like formaldehyde,
Formaldehyde, yeah.
something like that. Yeah. And it was a giant jar full of black liquid, and it just said cat on it.
It was a cat.
I did not look at that.
I looked at it because when you first look at it, it's just black. You don't
that's-
see any features
No.
or anything. But if you look in, get
Yeah.
close to it, you could see the cat face.
No.
And I was like, oh no.
No.
And-
I couldn't do that.
Which I'm sure none of these animals were killed for that.
Right. Yeah, they all
But-
said that they were humanely sourced, and
Yeah.
but still, it's disturbing, and and I guess that's the point. But
The lizards didn't bother me, the snakes,
No.
the whatever.
Yeah.
But when you have something that had fur on it,
yeah,
for some reason,
yeah,
they had a hedgehog.
Yeah.
For some reason, that doesn't seem. For some reason, it seems natural for a snake.
yeah.
Or a lizard.
Yeah, they could live in water.
Or some, but
Yeah.
for it struck me the wrong way.
Yeah,
I guess
it's a little disturbing.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's the point. I mean, it's freaking oddities and
yeah.
curiosities. But like I told you before, I was looking for like medical equipment, like old medical equipment, or like vintage shit.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't that much of that.
No.
It was kind of weird. The only thing that I saw were the lamps, and they looked a little steampunk.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. That was
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
really
but I
liked those.
Yeah,
Those were
but I
neat.
didn't see anything
The
else
only
like
thing
that.
I could think of was like the cold slab table.
Oh yeah, that was cool. We saw a
Yeah.
couple of those.
Yeah.
That was like the old wooden tables in funeral homes where the bodies would be, where they put on like the cosmetics and stuff and like fix them up for the coffin.
Yeah.
We saw a couple of those. That was pretty cool.
Wasn't there a metal one that was
I don't
from a
know.
morgue or something?
I think so, like an autopsy table.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bunch of hearses. That was pretty cool. Yeah,
But yeah, no like old medical tools or
Yeah, and that was really what I was expecting when I
Yeah.
got there. I was looking for that kind of stuff because that's cool shit. I want to see that kind of shit. And there were people that were performing there as well. There was that girl on the stilts.
Yeah.
She was walking around. That was kind of cool. There was that dude in a full clown makeup, which was creepy. He was walking around with a pretzel at the end. I was like, that's not even right.
There was some lady like all in black, and then she had like a bird.
Yeah, I think there was a picture. On the pictures that I posted
There
on
is,
Facebook.
but you can't really.
Yeah, you can't really tell.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
But her whole face was covered in the bird mask.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah, and then she had like this cape thing, like black cape thing on too,
Yeah.
which made it even cooler.
Yeah.
But there were like face masks that you could buy there that were animals. It was kind of weird. Yeah, it was fun.
They had like a little show going on with what was that lady doing? Oh, she was laying on a bed of nails.
Right, she was laying on a bed of nails. I think they did sword swallowing. There was one girl that was putting like straws through her mouth, through her nose,
Yeah.
and like drinking shit. It was weird, and
Weird.
it was fun.
It was. Yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, we'll probably go again. My favorite part, though, was when we first got there and I was walking and I started talking to Jody and I turned around and she had walked away and I was talking to some dude I didn't know. That was my favorite part.
I was overwhelmed when we first walked in. I was like, what do I look at? What do I look at?
I was like, ooh, look at that. Oh, you are not my sister. Anyway, so that's my embarrassing moment for the week. I knew I'd have one.
I got yelled at at the expo.
Oh, goodness. Speaking of embarrassing moments, Laura wrote us an embarrassing moment.
Hey,
Laura, you're awesome. Okay, so she said, embarrassing moment stories reminded me of an episode I had when I was in England as an au pair, which I had to look that up.
Oh, that's a nanny.
Kind of, yeah. It's a non-married young person who exchanges like household chores or babysitting in exchange for room and board.
Oh, okay.
So, in a school where business people from all over the world were learning English. So, the school was full of different kinds of nationalities from all over the world. Our job was sometimes to serve and clear the table after every meal course. And I once asked a man who had an empty plate, "Are you finished?" He replied, "No, I'm from Germany." She said that was hilarious afterwards, but not in that exact moment. You're a fan, Laura. She's like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
He should have been the one embarrassed.
Exactly. That's funny, though. No, I'm from Germany. Oh, that's funny. Okay, thank you, Laura, for writing in. We appreciate it.
Love you.
You guys send in your embarrassing moments. We want to hear them. goalsnightoutpodcast@gmail.com. And I have some more embarrassing moments, and I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty, so these are kind of long, so just bear with me.
You know what would be so nice?
Yeah.
If we had, listeners.
Yeah, listeners. That would be great.
That would be awesome.
Send us your stuff, please. Please, anything. We don't care. Tell us we suck. We don't care. We'll read it. Okay.
Well, we won't like it, but
yeah, we won't like it. We won't like it, but we'll read it. Just be like, oh my God, we got a story. Let's read it. Okay, so my first embarrassing moment. Once I was dragged along to a clothing store with my girlfriend, and as she shopped, I decided to try and pass the time and go on my phone and check out what was going on online. As it turns out, as I was lost in online land, my girlfriend decided to take a sharp turn down an aisle, which I didn't see at the time. I was looking down at my phone the whole time, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw who I thought was my girlfriend, same length blonde hair, had continued to follow her around. As it turns out, my girlfriend was off shopping in a completely different part of the store, and I was following some random girl around at pretty close proximity for about 3 minutes. I found out it wasn't my girlfriend when I decided to act mildly interested in what she was looking at, and when I said, "That would look nice on you," before realizing to my horror that I just followed a complete stranger around the store for 3 minutes before stopping at a display table and telling her to buy a shirt. That would suck. Next one, I was at the airport taking a red eye overseas. I arrive at the international gate and it's deserted because it's 2 a.m. So I decided to take some sleeping pills. I wait a few minutes, get drowsy, and figure I should take a pre-flight bathroom break. I trot over to the bathrooms, which are completely empty at this hour. I pick a stall and start my business. 2 minutes later, I hear the clack-clack of someone coming into the bathroom. All I can think is, geez, this guy has loud shoes. 30 seconds later, the bathroom fills up. A flight had just deplaned, and this was the post-flight bathroom crowd. Now, all I can think is, all these guys have really loud shoes. I peek under the stall, and suddenly my heart drops like it's never dropped in its life. You know what shoes are loud on tiles? Heels! At that moment, I realized I, a grown man, am taking a giant smelly poo in a women's restroom. Then it hits me. I didn't see any urinals walking in, and this weird trash bin next to the toilet is filled with feminine hygiene products. Freaking out, I do the only thing I can think of. I freeze, pull my feet really close to the toilet, and try and cover up my shoes. So hopefully no one can tell there's a man in there. I sit for 15 minutes listening to women come in and out, using the bathroom 1 foot from me, and chit-chatting on the other side of the door. I've never sweat so much in my life and been so terrified I'm about to become an accidental criminal. Finally, the waiting pays off. I can tell the bathroom is empty for a split second. No time to wipe. I pull my pants up and bolt out of there. As I run out, in that moment, there's a guy clearly looking for the bathrooms right outside, but he can't find them. He sees me running out and decides this must be the men's restroom and goes in.
Oh, no.
5 seconds later, as I duck into the men's restroom to finish my business, I take a quick look over my shoulder and see him coming back with a terrified, what the heck look staring at me. Oh my gosh, could you imagine just taking sleeping pills and then you'd be like fucked up and be like, oh my God. Okay, next one. Our kindergarten classroom has a private individual bathroom. I guess I was really distracted and didn't notice I had not closed the door to the bathroom. I basically started taking a shit with the entire class watching me. Everyone was silent. Oh my gosh! Who does that?
I would never do that.
No.
Never.
No. I have to double check everything before I start doing anything. I guess I'm just really paranoid.
I don't know.
Because I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next one. At a holiday dance my junior year, I was dancing with the group of friends, and the song Get Low by Little John and the East Side Boys started to play. I got really into the song and the part where they go, back, back, back it up. I backed it up. I wasn't twerking, I was just pushing my tush backwards. I backed it up so much that my ass hit the crotch of this male teacher that was chaperoning. All my friends gave me a warning, but it was too late. I looked back at him, apologized, and walked away. It was so awkward. Gosh, you're in high school and some teacher
you're just gonna
dude.
die. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Oh, you'll live. Okay. I was sleeping. Sorry. I was staring at a girl I fancied while we were watching a film in class. I fell asleep and apparently I said, fuck me, this girl's name, with a massive boner in my sleep.
Oh my gosh. That would be horrible.
Yeah. Next one, I had a bad habit of going commando in high school. One day after using the urinal, because I'm a giant dummy, I forgot to zip up my fly. I come out of the bathroom having relieved myself and went about my business with my dick hanging out of my zipper. Not having the good sense to realize, hey, it's drafty in here. I kept walking and doing my thing. So although I probably should have been able to realize that something was askew due to all the odd looks and stickers I was getting, I nevertheless did not. That is until someone went, hey, your cock is hanging out, bro.
Die if I was a teenage girl and I saw that.
No! Oh my gosh! Immediately look away.
Oh my god.
Oh shit. Next one, in college, I'm a little forgetful and don't remember people in a large classroom unless I engage with them. So one day I'm late to class and frazzled, and I walk in and don't recognize anyone, and I say, I think I'm in the wrong classroom. My class laughs and says, no, you're not, just sit down.
Dumbass.
I know, that would be embarrassing. I'd be like, I don't know any of you people.
Yes, you do. Shut up and sit down.
Okay, next one, I went camping with some friends and we ate some shrooms. I had to go to the bathroom, so I went to find the bathroom on the campground. I did my business and went back to our campsite. I grabbed a beer from the cooler and sat down at the fire and started drinking my beer and realized everyone had gone quiet and was staring at me. First, I was like, why aren't you guys talking? Did I fart? Then, why are you staring at me like that? Then it clicked, oh my God, you're not my friends. Where am I? I went to the wrong campsite and just plopped down, tripping ass down at a fire with a family of 4, a husband, a wife, and 2 kids. They looked horrified. I've never forgot the look on their faces. Oh, shit.
Oh my gosh.
Next one, I was having a particularly bad day, and I chose a particularly slow line in the grocery store. Ridiculously slow. Lines twice as long were sailing through, and mine wasn't moving at all. I then realized the problem. The asshole cashier was taking his sweet time swiping groceries through one at a time using only one hand. He didn't care. Some teenager with a scowl on his face, probably forced to work there by his parents. Finally, I had enough and I snapped. This line is huge. Things would go a lot quicker if you used 2 hands. The 2 people in the front of the line turned and stared at me with looks of horror and disgust, and finally the cashier went with a totally blank look on his face, turned towards me as well. His left arm had been amputated at the shoulder.
Oh my gosh, I would die.
I would fucking die.
First of all, I wouldn't say anything, period.
No.
But if I did, I would die.
That would be the worst thing to say ever.
Oh my gosh. I bet that person just wanted to disappear.
Yeah. That's one of those I want to live under a rock for the rest of my
Yes.
life moments. Yeah, bad.
It's horrible. Gosh.
And my last one, when I was 10, my dad had his coworkers over to our house with their families for a Christmas party. My mom was doing the whole hostess thing and had been stressed out. I went to use the bathroom in the middle of the party and it stunk something fierce. Being 10 and a social idiot, I then walked out into the big room with the party going on and yelled while waving my hand in a smelly motion, "Whew, who made the bathroom stink so bad?" My poor, horrified, and embarrassed mom's face when admitting it was her. I would not say shit. I'd be like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Shut up and go to bed.
I'd be like, what did you do? Go spray some air freshener or something.
And get a muzzle. Okay, those were my embarrassing moments for the week.
All right. Okay, so I did Ghosts of Maine
Okay.
this week, but once again, I ended up watching a documentary,
Oh, okay.
and this one was called The Bray Road Beast.
Okay.
So I think for some reason I'm thinking I might have done a story on this like way back in the beginning.
Oh, yeah?
So I don't even know if it's one that made it into like actually onto one of the podcast episodes. So this happened in Elkhorn, Wisconsin
Okay.
in 1991.
So fairly recent.
Yeah. So down this stretch of road, it's called Bray Road. And the reason it's called Bray Road is because way back in the day, like way back in the day, it used to be a Native American trail.
Okay.
But then after that, it was bought, like the land was bought by this family and their last name was Bray.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, it's farmland basically. So it's this long road that there's a bunch of Bray relatives that live,
Oh, yeah.
scattered throughout this road. And that's why it's called Bray Road. Now there's still some Brays living there, but there's other people, but it's just old country road.
Yeah.
So in December of 1991 is when the first sightings, well, it wasn't the very first, but there was like this, kind of like the Mothman.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like this certain amount of time was when all these sightings were.
Weird.
And then it kind of petered out a little
Yeah.
bit. But it started in December of 1991. And they had this state official of this town talking on this documentary. He actually had a file folder that was called, it had written on the little tab thing, werewolf sightings.
Oh my gosh.
And this is the town, a town official.
Right.
So some of the sightings were, there was this girl, she was a senior in high school. She was driving down the road one night, and she felt a thump on her car. She thought she had hit something.
Yeah.
And then she looked out her windows and she saw this thing outside of her car.
Oh my gosh.
She said it was big. She said it started running for her. And because she'd gotten out of her car to see what she hit.
Yeah.
And that's when she saw this thing.
Oh, don't ever get out of your car.
No. So she saw it, and when it saw her, it started running for her. So she booked it back into her car.
Oh my god.
And it ended up scraping the back of her car, and there were claw marks on her on the trunk of her car. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then another one. This one was it was a guy that he was driving down that. Stop it. He was driving down that road. He said he was coming back from a wedding, and he was driving, and he started smelling like this really foul odor.
Ew.
And he looked, he was looking around or whatever. He saw something off the side of the road, and I guess I don't remember if it said that he stopped or whatever, but whatever he saw reached out and scraped his car.
Oh shit.
And
He probably slowed down or something.
It
And
might have, yeah. And he said it was like a whitish gray, and it was large. And that's what she said too. It was just very
Big.
large.
oh my gosh.
There was another one where this was a single mother. She worked at, I think they said a bar. She was driving home from work one night, and she was driving down the road, and she saw something in a ditch, off the side.
Yeah.
And it was kneeling down, like a person.
Yeah.
And she said it was eating something, but it wasn't like an animal eating something. It was actually holding something in its hands and eating it.
Oh my god.
She said like some kind of, roadkill or something.
Yeah.
But the description that everyone says is that it had a head of a wolf or like a German Shepherd, so that shape.
Yeah.
It's large. It stands on its hind legs, 7 to 8 feet tall.
Oh my god.
So it's a walking humanoid form covered in fur, and some people have said it has red eyes.
Oh my god.
And there were a few other ones. Scott Bray, which is one of the original Brays, I guess.
Yeah.
Had a sighting. And then, let's see. He had a sighting. Some Russell guy saw one walking down the road. A Robert Bushman saw one running on 2 legs in broad daylight.
Oh my gosh.
I guess they did find the earliest recorded sighting was in 1930.
In that same area?
Yeah. And it's speculated that there were, I guess back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was this big thing with people like making cults and stuff, like satanic cults.
Oh yeah, Satanic Panic era. Yeah.
Well, they said they did have some of those there in that area. They would go out in the
weird.
woods and they would do their,
Yeah.
rituals or whatever. And he was talking and he was like, there was teachers and police officers that were, caught doing these
Oh shit.
satanic cult things.
Yeah.
And they would find like animal carcasses and stuff where they'd had their rituals and
Yeah.
stuff. But that just, that creeps me out so bad when
Yeah.
I sit there and talk about something that is supposed to look like a dog or a wolf or whatever, on 4 legs, and it's standing up and it's
Yeah.
walking on 2 legs.
Yeah, that's so scary.
That's creepy.
And that really makes me wonder, because all these things that we keep hearing are in these specific areas.
Yeah.
And they don't move out of those areas. So that makes me wonder again, and we've talked about it before, like different dimensions and different creatures, portals and shit in these areas. And that makes me really wonder if that's the case, if it's something from another dimension that they have opened up a portal or something, doing these rituals or whatever. I mean, you just never know.
No, you don't.
Oh my gosh, that
was
is scary.
interesting.
Yeah, that's scary.
And it's like in Elkhart,
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Just this little,
Oh my
old
gosh.
farm town.
Where like nothing happens
Yeah.
ever. Oh my gosh.
And the sad part is that when this first started, people would come forward with their sightings, and they were saying that they believe that people are still seeing these, but they don't say it anymore because those first people that did got made fun of and laughed at.
Oh no.
Yeah, so they think that there are people seeing them, but they don't want to say anything
Yeah.
because people will start making fun of them or
Oh
whatever.
my gosh, they would think they're crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That is creepy.
I know.
Where'd you say it was from? Michigan? Or
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Still too close.
yeah. It's not that far away.
Oh my gosh.
It's like 6 hours to Wisconsin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's creepy. I love it. What was it called again?
The Bray Road Beast.
Okay.
There's a lady that lives there. She's a reporter. She actually wrote a book called what was it called? The Beast of Bray Road.
Yeah.
And that, for some reason, that sounds really familiar to me. So I don't know if it was just something that I had read once when I was, looking around online,
Yeah.
or if I actually did a story about it, or
It doesn't sound familiar to me at all. I don't remember us talking about werewolves at all,
yeah.
but I drink a lot.
Yeah, I know.
So
But anyway, I thought that was interesting.
that is very interesting. I love it.
All right, so I did Ghosts of Maine, Maine State Prison in Thomaston. In 1824, in Thomaston, Maine, the Maine State Prison was established. The purpose behind the facility was for prisoners to serve out life sentences doing hard labor, as it should be.
Yes.
In other cases, prisoners served hard labor for shorter periods. Men and women alike served time at the Maine State Prison. Eventually, women were moved from the facility. During its history, the facility was devastated by fires, I think they switched that up. By multiple fires and rebuilt. The prison also had sections for mental health and a segregation unit. In the many years the Maine State Prison has been in use, there have been reports of sightings from guards and prisoners alike. Guards have made claims of someone watching them when there was no one around. Others have stated that they have seen the spirits of former prisoners at night when the prison is at its most quiet. Many believe some of the hauntings are a direct result of the equipment from an old prison on Thomaston being moved to and used at Maine State Prison. Seems like there's always ghosts at prisons.
Yeah, it's a lot of negative energy. And yeah, it seems like
Prisons, mental hospitals,
Yeah.
asylums, penitentiaries. I think that's all kind of the same.
yeah, lots of negative energy.
Yeah. Strand Cinema in Shohagen.
Ooh, what's it with cinemas? That's
I don't know.
kind of a thing too.
And that's weird because that's not a negative place.
No, that is something that I like. Normally, I can be like, okay, well, I can understand, like prisons. That's
hospitals.
yeah, that's negative. Nothing really good happens there usually. But cinemas, and that's very strange too, because that's not something that you would think that someone would hang around.
Unless they were one of the actors and that was like their favorite place to be.
Maybe.
That's what they enjoyed doing the most.
Yeah. That'd be nothing but positive energy,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. When the Strand Cinema opened in November of 1929, the seating capacity was 1,000 for the one theater. In its almost 100-year history, the Strand Cinema has undergone numerous renovations. Additional theaters as well as an apartment have been added to the building. Although the Strand Cinema has provided countless people with an opportunity to enjoy a live performance or a movie in later years, some patrons and employees have experienced paranormal activity. Some employees have experienced power tools that have been unplugged working on their own and shocking them.
Ooh.
Other individuals report that a ghost likes to smear paint on the walls of the building. Further reports say that a ghostly figure smears handprints all over the theater screens.
Okay, now.
In other reports, one employee who went to the basement to fetch some ice felt overcome by a spirit and was stuck frozen on the steps for a while before she was allowed to move. Papers flying off desks and markers tossed around, as well as strange sounds in the balconies and basement, are other odd occurrences in the Strand Cinema. That just sounds like a rude ghost.
And a cinema. That gets me. I don't understand.
Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor. Have I done this one before?
I don't think so.
I did one on just cemeteries, didn't I? I don't know. The Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor, Maine, was established in 1836. Since that time, more than 30,000 people have been laid to rest in the cemetery. Mount Hope is not just a traditional cemetery, it is also the second garden cemetery in the United States. The Mount Hope is roughly 300 acres in size and is not only a place where people lay to rest their beloved family and friends, but it also features mausoleums and assorted memorials. During its history, Mount Hope was a location in the movie Pet Sematary by Stephen King. If being a part of a horror movie is not enough to induce creepy feelings, the cemetery is home to countless soldiers who served in a variety of wars. People have seen shadows and felt an overall sense of unease at the cemetery. Other people who have made their way to Mount Hope have claimed to see ghostly figures roaming about.
So creepy.
Yes. I wanted so bad to see something when we went to that one
I
cemetery.
know. I did too. Like, had my eyes peeled the entire time.
Lake George Regional Park West in Shawhagan. Located in the town of Shawhagan, Maine, is Lake George Regional Park West. Founded in 1992, the day-use park has cabins, group facilities, playing fields, and places for picnicking. Users of the park also have the ability to go hiking, fishing, swimming, and boating. Although Lake George Regional Park West has been around less than 3 decades, it is no stranger to unusual paranormal activity. Over the years, people have made claims that when objects are arranged on tables and the like for certain events, their configuration is completely changed. The time it takes for this to occur is only the amount of time it takes for someone to completely turn around. One of the most famous legends is that of a group of children out wandering around the woods when they stumbled upon an old cabin. Curious, 2 of the kids lifted one of the smaller children up to look inside a fogged-up window. The child stated that there were chairs folded up against the wall and it appeared to be a game room. When another child went inside, the chairs were placed around a table.
Oh my god.
I just got goosebumps on that. Wood Island Lighthouse in Saco Bay. That's another one.
Yeah,
I think every
lighthouses.
single lighthouse
Is haunted? Yeah. Well, they say that water conducts some sort of energy.
Yep.
So, I mean, that kind of makes sense.
That's true.
They're all near water.
Yep. In Saco Bay, Maine, sits the Wood Island Lighthouse. The original lighthouse was built in 1808 at the request of President Thomas Jefferson. The lighthouse ended up in a state of complete disrepair, calling for it to be replaced. The lighthouse that stands today is the granite tower that was erected in 1839. The Wood Island Lighthouse has a tragic and violent history attached to it. Based on reports, a murder and subsequent suicide occurred at the location in 1896. From the records, a man who was either a squatter or renting space in the area shot and murdered a man. After realizing what he had done, he went into the lighthouse and killed himself.
Oh, shit.
Keepers who have lived in the Wood Island Lighthouse say that unexplained shadows appear, as well as unusual moaning. Other reports that say that sometimes locked doors fly open and gunshots are heard. To save the lighthouse keepers from dealing with the haunted light, in 1972, the old light was replaced with an automated light.
Interesting.
Yeah. Carriage House Inn in Searsport. Captain John McGilvery had a Victorian mansion built in 1874. That mansion became what is now known today as the Carriage House Inn. In its history, the Carriage House was not only a retreat for people such as famous painter Waldo Pierce, it was also an army garrison. Today people can come in. That's not right. Today people can come stay in 3 of the 13 rooms in the inn. The rest of the rooms remain off limits. There are only 3 out of 13?
3?
3. People who visit the Carriage House Inn have stated they have experienced different paranormal activity. Expert paranormal investigators state there are in fact a minimum of 2 ghosts haunting the inn. One couple visiting stated they experienced a sensation of someone sitting on the bed with them, which woke them. The wife of that same couple stated she saw a woman with long hair dressed in old-fashioned garb combing her hair in their room.
Oh my God.
Other guests have heard knocking, music, and have even smelled cigar smoke when no one was smoking.
Oh no.
Museums of Old York in Old York. No trip to Maine would be complete without a visit to Old York Museums, one of the earliest English settlements in the nation. There are 9 historic buildings which provide visitors the opportunity to learn about 300 years of history. Jefford's Tavern dates back to 1750, whereas the Visitor Center is connected to the Remick Barn from 1834. In its history, the Emerson Wilcox House, dating back to 1742, was once a tavern, post office, and a store. Each of the buildings offers an interesting look into the past. Supernatural activity in the museums of Old York and surrounding lands include objects moving on their own, doors opening, and chilly breezes. There have also been countless sightings of a woman called the White Witch. Back in the colonial times, when people suspected of witchcraft were killed, the White Witch was one of those people who were hung in front of the current museum, formerly the town hall. People say it is not unusual to see her walking alone down the road. Children in the area have also reported a lady in white asked them to play with her.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Well, the woman was probably innocent and murdered.
Probably.
So that makes sense.
That's right. The Kennebec Arsenal in Augusta. The original stone building located at the Kennebec Arsenal in Augusta, Maine, was constructed for military purposes following the War of 1812. When it was no longer needed to serve as a location to protect the coastal borders in 1901, the building made a shift from military usage to a mental hospital. Maine State Hospital purchased the property and expansions were made. The property was later renamed the Augusta Mental Health Institute. Thousands of mentally ill adults and children passed through the doors of the Kennebec Arsenal when it was a mental hospital. There are countless stories in regards to the horrific treatment the patients who lived in the facility were subjected to. Some reports state that thousands of people died in the facility only to be buried in unmarked graves. The facility officially closed its doors in 2004. Presently, access to the Kennebec Arsenal lands and structures is against the law. Prior to this, sightings of ghostly apparitions in the facility were common, as were unusual sounds and sometimes the cries of former residents.
Oh my gosh.
Those always are sad.
Yeah.
Those mental hospitals back in
Yeah.
the day. Oh, man.
Yeah, because like half of them didn't belong there.
Exactly.
It's so scary and sad, and I feel bad for those people.
I was done.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I just did more creepy things that people have seen or
I like
experienced.
those.
Yeah. So first one, and again, these are kind of long, so bear with me. I was alone watching my brother. I was around 18 and he was 2 or 3, barely talking yet. We were in his playroom downstairs playing with blocks or something when he suddenly goes from giggling and running around to just frozen, staring at the entryway into the room. I ask him what's up, and he points to our staircase and says, "Icky noise." He'd been pointing and saying that randomly for a while now, and I figured it was just going to be another time showing him there's nothing there. But I finally take a good look at the stairs, and there is something there. Walls mostly surrounded our staircase, so I hadn't noticed at first due to the shadows, but I could see crouched on the step just below where the wall cut off was this pitch black shape of a person. It was literally a slightly fuzzy silhouette of a person made just from pure black, clearly looking at us between the hand railings.
Oh no!
It took a step further down towards us, still crouched holding the rails, before my brain processed what it was actually seeing. I screamed, grabbed my brother, and left the house. We ended up sitting in the backyard playing with my sister's dog while I called my mom and waited for her to get home. Sightings of that thing only got worse before we moved out. When my brother was a bit older, he was able to explain he called it icky noise because whenever it showed up, he would hear this really gross, scary, gurgling whispering. I never heard it make a noise, but I definitely saw it several times.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I could live somewhere.
No, I mean, no. That is
Oh.
creepy, and like, what the fuck is that? Next one, I was taking an afternoon nap after a short morning shift at work. I lay down on the couch, and it was absolutely silent in my apartment. My ears started ringing louder and louder, nearly giving me a headache. It was keeping me from falling asleep, so I sat up and looked for the TV remote for some background noise. I got the remote, aimed it at the TV, and sitting on the floor in front of the TV with his back to me is my brother, Lee. Startled, I jumped up and said, "Hey, when'd you sneak in?" He doesn't move. I get a very strange feeling, goosebumps over my entire body, chills, and like I'm going to throw up instantly. Without moving at all, I hear him say, "Everything is cool, man. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine." I'm confused as hell right now, and for some reason I'm going to vomit my guts up. I run to the bathroom to puke and dry heave for about 30 seconds. I go back out and Lee is gone. I start yelling, "Hey, where'd you go?" and no sign of him. I call him, no answer, text him, waiting for the response, and I lay back down, but no way I'm sleeping. I feel 100% better suddenly. I decide to go clean my car out so my girlfriend doesn't have to sit on McDonald's bags. My phone buzzes. It's my mom. Lee was in a bad car accident a few hours ago, and he passed away in the emergency room.
Oh my god.
I know. Could you fucking imagine?
It's horrible. But that, there again, the back to you,
That's fucking creepy.
I don't know what it is. I don't like it.
No. Because there's some reason that they don't want you to see their face.
Hey.
That's super creepy. I know. Anyway. Okay. Next one, when my father was about 15, he was playing cards and listening to the radio in the living room of his mom's house. There was a knock at the door, and he opens it to see his grandfather stumbled over the porch railing, clearly drunk. This is common. Grandpa would get drunk and stumble over looking for something to eat. "Mom, your dad's here," he said. He went back to playing cards. His mom comes in, and she looks both ways on the porch. "Who did you say was here?" He said, "Your dad." "There's no one outside. Are you sure?" "Yes, he was there a few minutes ago. He must have left." She shuts the door and goes back to the kitchen. About a minute later, she gets a call telling her her phone number was found in a wallet of a body found near some train tracks in Kentucky. They described the man and what he was carrying, and she gasped and asked again, "Who did you say was here?" His body was found over a state over. He had died from alcohol poisoning and severe dehydration. My dad always said, "I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in something."
Whew.
That's creepy. Next one, a few years ago, my uncle woke up around 2 a.m. because of the ringing on the telephone beside his bed. He picked it up, and it was his friend. His friend was asking how my uncle was and such. After a brief conversation, his friend said that he was peaceful where he is. Things felt great and that he was happy. My uncle was glad to hear that and said goodbye. As he put the telephone down, my uncle woke up and realized he was dreaming. The next day, he heard news about his friend being slain by an intruder in his house around 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, next one. When I was in elementary school, I went to school ridiculously early for swim practice. Turns out that it was canceled, and I found out when I got there. That meant that I had the whole school to myself. I waited near the school gate, and soon enough, my homeroom teacher arrived. I greeted her, saying, "Hi, Miss Grace." Here's what gets weird. She ignored me and walked past me. Confused, I looked back towards the gate, and then back where she was walking, except she wasn't there. I was a bit frightened at this point, so I went to wait outside my locked classroom, which happens to be next to the restrooms. I sat down on the floor. A few minutes later, I hear the eeriest, creepiest laugh coming from the restroom. It was really high-pitched, almost witch-like. It made my hairs stand on end. I was so scared I ran back towards the school gate. A few minutes later, my homeroom teacher, the one I had seen earlier who ignored me and then vanished into thin air, passed through the gate. She saw me and greeted me. I was too freaked out to reply. Until now, I have no idea what on earth happened. It's the only paranormal experience I haven't been able to explain to this day.
That's weird.
It is weird. I wonder if that has anything to do with the creepy laugh that they heard. Like, first they see someone that's not really there, and then they hear this creepy laugh. And
Yeah, something's messing with them.
yeah, that's creepy. Next one, in high school, I went over to my girlfriend's house to hang out. We hadn't eaten dinner yet, and we were both getting pretty hungry, so we were unsuccessfully debating on what we should eat. Suddenly, we hear a thump come from the kitchen, and since we were home alone, we went to investigate. One of the recipe books that her dad keeps on the fridge had fallen off, but it was like 7 feet away from the refrigerator and had opened to a certain page, chicken and mushrooms with rice. So I jokingly said, maybe we should make that. We checked the kitchen, and she had all the necessary ingredients. After we collected them, we turned to the stove, and there was already a large, clean skillet sitting on it, ready to go. My girlfriend claimed she hadn't done it, as she had washed all the dishes earlier that afternoon and put them away. I thought that maybe she was messing with me, but she was convincingly serious. So basically, some friendly ghost helped settle a small argument by saying, "Look, you dumb shits, cook this and shut the fuck up." It was delicious, by the way. I wish someone would do that for me. That'd be nice.
Of course, I'd want them to actually make it.
Yeah,
and-
can we have stuff in the skillet ready to go? Next one, when I was 19, I was walking home from the library, and a cop pulled up to the curb asking to see my ID. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I showed it to him anyway. After a moment of verifying that I was who my ID claimed I was, he apologized and handed me a printout of a missing teen a couple years younger than me. She could have been my identical twin. I told him that I didn't blame him for asking if I was her. I don't remember her name. I was too shaken up by the picture, but I still wonder what she's doing and if she's okay. That was nearly 20 years ago. That's creepy. You see a missing
Yeah.
person that looks exactly
Oh
like
my
you.
gosh, yeah.
Next one, I remember an old house I lived in as a child. We discovered a hidden hole in the wall, big enough to crawl through. It led to a small peephole in the bathroom. I always wanted to play in the tunnel, but my mom wouldn't let me. In that same house, we never saw a single mouse, until one night they came flooding out of every inch of the house. I'm talking thousands of them. I remember my mom freaking out and rushing outside, carrying us in her arms as she ran over thousands of mice everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
We came back to the house the next day after staying at a relative's, and there was not a mouse in sight. Nothing dead or any traces of them. We still talk about it at family events as the most fucked up thing we've ever saw.
Oh my gosh. What was that?
I don't know. Was it like a mass hallucination throughout the family?
That's weird.
That is weird.
I needed to check for carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, yeah, that could explain it. Next one, when I was little, I loved recording my own voice on the family tape recorder. I would record my voice really slowly, set the recorder to copy, and record that at double speed on a secondary cassette tape, basically making me sound like a Smurf or chipmunk speaking at normal tempo. One time when I was in the kitchen playing around with it, I ended a sentence with saying, "and all the other children." I dubbed recorder, played back, and the whole thing sounded completely normal, and said in my childish smurfed up voice, "and all the other children," with a second of silence followed by the harshest, deepest man's voice I had ever heard saying the same thing in a mocking voice.
Oh, I got major goosebumps. Oh.
It scared the shit out of all of us, and no one can to this day explain it. Being older now, I realize it's probably a very strange artifact of overdubbing, magnetic tapes and such, but there are qualities that I still don't quite understand and can't explain, specifically how it could speak in a normal speed of voice, because the easy explanation would be that it somehow slowed down my voice, darkening the pitch, and still go deep.
No.
Yeah, that's creepy. Next one. A while ago during the NHL lockout, I was up at 3 a.m. watching the World Juniors, and I noticed that this van pull up into my cul-de-sac which was strange because I didn't recognize the van, and it wasn't any of my neighbors. When the van stops right in front of my house and 3 people pop out, 2 goes to my neighbor's house to my right, and the other comes to my house. They're all dressed in black, and they're going pretty quickly. I pretty much froze when I heard footsteps as he came closer to my door, and then nothing happened. Literally nothing. The van drove away without anyone hopping back in it. I never saw the guy leave my doorstep. It was snowing that night, so in the morning I had to go shovel my driveway, and I saw his steps go to my front door and stop. The footprints stopped at my door. There were no tracks leaving my front door, nor were there anywhere else.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
What?
exactly. What the fuck? Where did he go?
Weird.
Oh my gosh. Next one. In the house I grew up in, every few weeks I'd see a woman in white walk down the hallway. I always had some explanation as to what it could be and never told anyone about it. Years later, after my brother and I both left home, he asked if I had ever seen her.
Ugh.
I still remember every detail and get chills from it.
Ugh.
Could you imagine seeing that and being like, it's my imagination, and then your freaking brother asks you if you saw it too?
No.
Oh my god. It's creepy.
That happened to Penny
Did it?
in her house. I guess all growing up, she's, hear things and see things and stuff, but
Yeah.
never talked about it. And then her
Yeah.
and her sister, when they,
Oh
were
my
older and
gosh.
moved out, they would
Yeah.
start talking and they would find out that they saw the exact same woman.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
just got chills.
Yeah.
That's creepy. Next one. I remember when I was very young, maybe 3 years old, I used to see the corner of my bedroom ceiling peel back, and an old lady would look through and laugh at me.
What?
It would make me scream and cry. I don't know if it was a dream or something I imagined still awake, but I'm pretty old now and I still remember it.
That's
Creepy.
Like that.
Next one, I was driving down. Oh, okay. This one comes with a YouTube video. You can actually hear this, and I watched it. And I'll tell you what to look up when I read it. I was driving down a highway in Colorado at about 11 p.m. on my way to Taco Bell to try a new burrito and write about it in my advertising blog I started back in college. It was around midnight and I was recording my voice memo for my own personal reference when I heard what sounded to be the screams of children. Screams like you would hear coming from a pool or a roller coaster, but the sound seemed to travel through my car from front to back, lasting about 5 seconds. I felt like I drove through a cloud. The kicker is that I actually got it on tape. I would love to hear anyone's explanation for what this could be. So if you go on YouTube and look up, he labeled it evidence of ghosts, like question mark, and then unidentified flying sound. And it's just a black screen. It's not a video of any kind, but you can hear him talking about this burrito that he's getting ready to go try. And you can hear what sounds like, it sounds like if you're at like a pool or an amusement park, these kids playing and screaming, and it is the creepiest shit. Look it up.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's called, just look up evidence of ghosts, like question mark.
We're going to listen to it when we're done recording.
That's fine. And I was going to play it on air, but it's very faint and I don't think it would come through.
Okay.
So you guys look it up. But it's just a black screen and it's creepy.
Oh.
So, we'll look at that. We'll look at that. Next one summer I found a pair of walkie-talkies at a yard sale and my mom bought them for me. The next day my mom was driving somewhere and I had the walkie-talkies in the seat next to me. Suddenly one of the walkie-talkies turned on and we could hear a child screaming hysterically, "Mom, where are you?" while sobbing. A few seconds of silence passed and then we hear laughter. This was no ordinary chuckle. This was like legit maniacal laughter straight out of some psycho murderer movie where the killer gets off on the misery of their victims. My mom didn't miss a beat. She reached in the back, grabbed the walkie-talkie, and hurled it out the open window without a word.
Mom, right there. Yep, that's what I do too. Like, get the fuck away from me.
Upon asking her what we just heard, she said, "I don't know," and left it at that.
Hell no.
Next one, my mom and I were living in a small house in Laguna Beach back in the early 80s. My mom was out of town and I was home alone. Before I went to bed, I made sure to lock all the doors and windows because this was when Richard Ramirez was terrorizing Southern California. I woke up in the middle of the night because my dog, who was sleeping on the bed with me, started to growl. I look up to see why he was growling, and I could see the figure of someone standing in the kitchen staring into my bedroom. I could not make out any features or even clothing. It was just a dark shape, like a shadow person. They didn't move or make any noise, just stood there. I ducked under the covers in terror, and my dog jumped off the bed and ran out of the room. I couldn't hear anything and eventually fell back asleep. When I woke up in the morning, I double-checked all the doors and windows, and they were still locked, but the dog was outside on the back porch.
Oh my god.
Oh no! Those were my stories.
I like those. I'm home by myself. You know that, right?
I'm right around the corner.
That's not close enough. Don't like those.
Oh my gosh, I know.
All right, it's time for the witty wrap-up.
Yay, Witty Rebel!
I did funny anesthesia stories.
That's great. Drugged people are hilarious.
They are. Okay. I was coming out of an induced coma in the hospital and saw my divorced parents standing on either side of me in a white room with a doctor in a white coat standing at the foot of the bed. The doctor asked if I knew where I was. Knowing my parents basically hate each other, the only logical conclusion my drugged up brain could make was, I'm in a mental hospital.
Aww.
I got my wisdom teeth out and woke up halfway through, so they dosed me a second time. When I finally woke up post-op, I demanded my teeth back and trashed the office because I thought they were shamans who were going to use my teeth for dark rituals or something. Then I puked. Mom told me after. Good times.
Oh no.
My dad woke up from heart surgery and they were asking all the questions, what's your name, what's the year, etc. They asked where he was and he said the 7th circle of hell. Then they let him rest after that. When I came to in the recovery room, there was a male nurse beside me. I sang in a sing-song voice, I'm not wearing underpants, I'm not wearing underpants. He quickly left, and I only had female nurses the next 2 weeks I was there. like, I am not going in there again.
That's funny.
Wisdom tooth removal, and my mom is my ride to and from the procedure. Before the surgery, we get a basic preoperative rundown describing the process, what to expect immediately afterward, and what to expect while I recover. The nurse who conducted the pre-op prep just happened to be very attractive. Her name was Jessica. From the pre-op rundown, Jessica guides me to the operation room, and my mom goes to the lobby to await my return. About an hour later, I come to and am greeted by my mom and the operating team laughing around the chair.
Oh, no.
Apparently, in the early stages of regaining consciousness, the operating team asked me about my ride home, and I told them that Jessica was my ride home. I wanted Jessica to take me home and take care of me. A nurse went to hail my mother from the waiting room and called, "Jessica? Is there a Jessica here?" "No Jessica? Oh. Mom, are you here?" That was weird.
That's cute, though. I mean, I would be flattered if I was Jessica.
When I woke up, what I said amounted to a combination of incoherent babbling and attempts at getting my doctor into bed. In my defense, she was smoking hot. She thought it was funny. My wife, however, was not nearly as amused.
Oh, yeah. That story took a turn.
Yeah. After getting my appendix out, I repeatedly booped my nurse on the nose, but at a sloth-like pace. So I'd slowly reach up, tap her on the nose, and slur out, "Boop." She thought it was hilarious. After I got my gallbladder out, I spent 2 hours asking what time it was every 5 minutes. I also profusely apologized for another patient cursing loudly down the hall because the nurses were so nice and they don't deserve that.
Aw.
My mate woke up in the recovery room and asked the anesthesia, whatever, is this where I can order a latte? She said, "Sure." I had to have surgery for the 3rd time due to complications from my Crohn's disease. The first 2 surgeries I had in the years before, they just cut me open, removed the portion of diseased or damaged bowel, and sewed me up. This time they tried something different. Instead of using stitches or staples to close up the incision, they used a wound vac. I wasn't made aware of this until after the fact and had never even heard of a wound vac before.
No, what the fuck is that?
Me neither. So when I came to and post-op, still very much out of it, I asked the nurse, "Is it over? Did they sew me up with stitches or do I have staples again?" She told me, "No, you have a wound vac this time." I said, "What the heck is that? Is it like a dirt devil or something? And where the hell is my dog? He told me he'd be here." She later told me that was the funniest thing she'd heard all day.
That's hilarious. Is it a dirt devil?
When I had surgery, I woke up really needing to pee. The nurse had to get me a bedpan to pee in. I loudly shouted, "Make sure the hot doctor doesn't see me peeing," while he was still in the room. It was wrist surgery, so they did a nerve block, which numbed my entire arm. After peeing all over myself because I forgot to pull down my pants, I started screaming because my arm had a life of its own and was flopping around everywhere.
Oh, that's funny.
I got to take care of my boyfriend after his wisdom tooth surgery a couple months ago. When he woke up in the recovery room, he yelled that anesthesia was the fucking best thing ever. And when I told him he needed to be quieter because there was a young kid in the spot next to us, he just stared at me and then Hulk roared. I could hear the kid's family laughing at us. When I was driving him home, he cried really hard and kept petting my hair because it was so pretty, hugged my arm and wouldn't let go, tried to grab the steering wheel so I could change the music because he didn't trust his Spotify, and this way we won't crash.
Oh my gosh.
And when I told him to hold his phone so I could see the navigation so he would stop trying to grab the wheel, he started crying again because he felt like it was the most important job ever. There was a lot of tears.
Oh, oh no.
I saw Chris had forwarded a video. I think it was her nephew or something, had just got his wisdom teeth out.
Yeah.
And they were driving down the road, and he said he saw a zebra running down the side of the road.
Oh my God.
I was home for a winter break from college and had to have minor surgery on one of my eyes. Apparently, on the car ride home, I was still really messed up. I cried and cried and cried and begged my mom to take me to buy queso. Apparently, I was so obnoxious.
Sorry. Bless you. Thanks.
Apparently, I was so obnoxious that she caved in and bought me chips and queso on the condition that I'd stop crying and that I couldn't eat them until everything wore off. So I sat in the car holding the bag of chips like a baby until we got home. When I got home, my mom tried to put the food in the fridge, but I started crying again and asked if I could take it to bed with me. She was so fed up with me at this point, she let me. So I crawled into bed with my chips and queso, took my pain meds, and pretended to go to sleep. When she left the room, I got out my phone and started FaceTiming this guy I really liked and had been talking to. I had just gotten out of surgery. My hair was in a bun. I had no makeup. I had a giant patch over one of my eyes, and I'd been crying all day. To top it off, I started eating the chips while trying to talk to him. Half my face was still numb, including one side of my mouth. So I'm trying to talk to him, making no sense, snot pouring out of my nose, and chips and queso falling out of my mouth as I attempt to chew.
Oh my God.
Miraculously, he still liked me and thought it was pretty funny. He also didn't screenshot me, which is a plus. We've now been dating for 2 years.
That's hilarious.
My dad's a doctor. He once had a patient who was a professional yodeler. The yodeler got a new pacemaker put in and was put into post-op to recover. He spent the entire time yodeling. The story goes on, however, the yodeler was married but also had a girlfriend, and both showed up to check up on him. My dad said it was one of the most bizarre things he'd ever seen. The wife and girlfriend screaming at one another, all the while the guy was yodeling as loud as he could, oblivious to the situation.
Oh my God, that's fucked up.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, it's a reality show.
I asked for my teeth before being put under, and when I woke up, I was so obsessed with getting my teeth back, they mistakenly threw them in the medical waste bin. I made them get them out, threw the biggest fit of my life in this post-op haze, thought they purposely kept them for some nefarious purpose. Bitches weren't going to keep my teeth. My dental surgery was a nightmare. Apparently, I decided halfway through the surgery that it was time to play tag with the surgery team. Thankfully, they managed to grab me before I could take off running around the operating theater and slapping people. I tried to do it several times. Each time, they grabbed me and pushed me back in the chair until I blacked out again.
Oh my gosh.
I also sat upright in the chair and slowly counted upwards in Japanese with my eyes open and staring. I couldn't remember how to count in Japanese when I was conscious, so it was extra creepy. Afterwards, when they put me in a wheelchair, I grabbed the wheels and tried to race out of the building like it was on fire. I would wake up, grab the wheels frantically, and slump over asleep again. I did this multiple times, but never stayed awake long enough to pull the Grand Theft Auto I so desperately believed I needed to do. The whole time I had the most mortified, miserable look on my face, like my best friend had run me through with a knife. My brother, heartless prankster that he is, recorded the ordeal and showed it to me the moment I woke up for good and was in my right mind. What are brothers for?
Yeah, it's crazy.
When I woke up from having my wisdom teeth removed, they were just putting my chair up, and for some reason I yelled, "Woo, this is the best Disney trip ever. I want to ride this ride again." Before they put me under, the nurse turned on some country music for them to listen to during the procedure. I started talking about how pop country was not my favorite, and we had friendly banter back and forth about it. They started the IV, and I said, "Oh great, now I'm going to have Jason fucking Aldean stuck in my subconscious for the rest of my life. Thanks, Doc." They started cracking up because there had been a 45-minute gap in my sentence.
Oh wow, that's great.
I don't know. I was on depression medicine when I got my wisdom teeth removed. I told the staff I might burn through anesthetics faster than a normal person because of this. They laughed it off and told me not to worry about it. Apparently, I woke up way sooner than expected after the surgery and was found stumbling down the hallway yelling, "My nose! My nose! What have you done with my nose? Where did you take my nose?"
Oh my gosh.
I was sedated for an endoscopy? A few years ago. Apparently, when I woke up, I was trying to be as coherent as possible and was asking the doctor what he found. He told me I wasn't going to remember anyways, but I insisted I would. I then tried to tell him I could walk myself to the car instead of being wheeled out. Upon waking up on my couch later, I asked my mom what the doctor found. I had no idea why she was laughing so hard. After having surgery a few years ago, I apparently had been woken up enough so they were moving me to my recovery room. Though I was still pretty in and out of it, I remember this. My surgery was just after Valentine's Day, and the two nurses who were transporting me were talking about what their husbands got them as gifts for Valentine's Day. I just opened my eyes, and without any real detail, all I could say to them was something about, "I got a dozen unicorns," before passing back out. My boyfriend got me a bouquet of plushy unicorns, so I really did get a dozen unicorns, but they must have thought I was crazy. That was cute.
Yeah.
I promised myself I wouldn't say or do anything stupid like I would see in all those Facebook videos, but the day comes where I have back surgery, and when I woke up in recovery, I looked over at the nurse and said, "You're hot. What time is it?" She answered. Then not even a minute later, I asked the exact same question like my life had been rewinded something. "What time is it?" She laughed instead of answering. I also drooled all over myself in the wheelchair ride to the parking lot and became convinced I was going to Disney World. That one was weird. I fight when I come out, have since I was a kid. I hate being put under because of it. I've had to warn every doctor/dentist I work with. I had emergency surgery a few years ago and I forgot to mention it. Called some poor nurse a bitch and screamed at her to get me out of bed so I could take a leak. I do not know where the anger comes from. Once the anesthesia fully works its way out of the system, I'm fine. But for a few minutes, I'm scary.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird how drugs affect people differently.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. When I had my wisdom teeth out, I apparently tried to fight another patient. They also had the little ice pack things tied to their cheeks while chanting, "Now we have to fight."
Oh.
Pretty sure my logic was there can only be one. My sister just laughed and pushed me back into the wheelchair every time I tried to get up. Did that make any sense to you at all?
Not really.
I think these stories were written while they were on the anesthesia. I had to have my tonsils removed when I was like 6, and when I woke up on the gurney outside the nurse station, I bolted upright and asked, "Is it over?" Nurse laughed and said yes, and she hand-fed me ice chips and grabbed my stuffed bunny for me to cuddle. Best nurse ever.
Aw.
When I'm going under, I get stupid philosophical. Last time I asked the surgical team, what if motor cars didn't have motors and were just cars? And why is the moon? Before singing Unicorn Wizard as I passed out. When I woke up, as always, I got flirty. I turned to the nearest nurse and said, "Are you a donut? Because you're all curves and sugar," and said to another simply, "You're a babe."
But why is the moon?
That's all I got.
All right, and that reminded me, one of those reminded me of my daughter had a misheard lyric.
Oh, yeah.
We were listening to music and cooking dinner the other night, and Don't Stand So Close to Me by Stang was on. Mm-hmm. And was it the Police at the time? Or
might have been.
Sting?
I think in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. And I was singing it, and she started singing Hulk Smash. Hulk Smash. What? What? She thought it said Hulk Smash instead of Don't Stand. And
the 80s.
I know, but she doesn't know that.
Oh my gosh. That's
She's like, Hulk smash. Hulk smash.
what did she think the rest of it was?
I don't know. She didn't go that far. But I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
So send us your misheard lyrics, your embarrassing moments, anything for the witty wrap-up, anything funny, and anything scary. We want to hear it. goalsnightoutpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen. We really appreciate it. And we will talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye.